mid-career, what we have realized is there are two types of growth that people chase. Okay? One is called the linear growth. As and when it comes, it's called the linear growth. It comes naturally. You take it, that's your linear growth. Now, this is where you need to understand the difference between the linear growth and the exponential growth. The reason I'm always pushing you guys towards the exponential is because for the mid-career professional, time is their biggest enemy right now. That means you never know when the technology or a junior or anything else or my peer group will replace me. Anything will replace you tomorrow morning and you are just working hard because you have been told to work hard. That's why you're working hard. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. And there are pros and there are cons of linear growth as well. Okay. Let me give you the pros first because some people like that. Okay? Linearity has a pros, which is the benefit or the merits is predictable career progression. That means you know that after assistant manager, only manager comes, manager, deputy, deputy to manager, manager to, senior manager to DGM, DGM to GM. So you know that there's a predictable path already available. यार मुझे तो यही रहना है, पूरी जिंदगी निकालनी है, and you are happy with it. काम चल रहा है, बच्चे बड़े हो रहे हैं, घर है, माँ बाप है. Why to change the comfort? How many of you are in that zone? Let me tell you the another pros for the linear growth, which is called you call as a stability. Stability. One of the biggest aspiration of the middle class is stability. How many of you agree with that? One of the biggest aspiration for the middle class is stability. And they love everything stable हो जाना चाहिए, settle होना चाहिए कुछ भी. यहाँ एकदम सही चलना चाहिए, routine में आ जाना चाहिए, settle हो जाना चाहिए मुझे यहाँ. This is one of the biggest aspiration for the middle class people. That means they don't take any risk. They don't get out of anywhere. Wherever there is a challenge, they just come back into that stable zone. Why? Comfortable, convenient. Okay. Third, gradual skill development. Pros means they say, boss, I will be in this position, I'll learn in this position and then move forward. So you learn the skills for 5 years, which would have hardly taken 5 months, but you would spend 5 years for that. And you say, I have more experience, knowledgeable, skilled, exposed. That's why I deserve these positions. And today's generation, just look at the chat GPT. Okay, learn, understand, and they say, boss, I can do what this guy can do in 5 years, I can do in 5 months. Can you give me that job at a lower salary? These are the pros. Okay, let me give you the cons so that you understand. Cons is stagnation and the complacency. Second, you never reach the career peaks. How many of you are in a situation where you realize that I will never be able to reach the peak? Neither my peak potential, neither my peak career. Then you have a limited exposure to the challenging situations. How many of you understand? Limited exposure to challenging opportunities. These are the cons of the exponential growth. I'm giving 3 only. There could be many. Okay, but the key point is to understand the impact on the life. The key point is not to understand the pros and cons. Pros and cons to koi bhi theory mein professor sikha dega aapko. That's not the understanding required. Okay, what is the understanding required is the impact on the life. What will be the impact of the linear growth on your professional life? Stagnant, no challenge. Yes, Ibrahim. Limited growth, of course. Slow progress, no job satisfaction. Yes. Not able to question the management. Under the umbrella always. Yes. Negative mindset. Junior will occupy financial problems, time-based promotions, not realization of full potential. Comfort zone. Write down somewhere so that you can remember all this and ask yourself a question. Let's talk about the other side of it, which is called the exponential growth. Will it be a challenging? Will it be rewarding? Will it be rewarding? So let's talk about what would be the pros for the exponential growth. Higher position designation, faster growth. Rapid growth is one of the simplest outcome. Okay. Will you have the diversity of exposure? How many of you realize that your exposure level will be very high? Yes, no? Your exposure level will be very high. Correct? How about the accelerated skill and personal development? Will you get the accelerated skill and personal development if you're on that exponential growth path instead of the average growth path? That is where the things are. What are the cons? Because there will be cons as well. And the cons is uncertainty. Uncertainty. How are the stress and work-life problem? Will there be a work-life problem and stress? Yes, when you are getting into the exponential growth. If you know that it is an exponential growth, by default, it is going to be an uncertain path. By default, it is a high risk. By default, it will have a pressure. But if there is no pressure, where there is a growth anyway? If there is no pressure, where is there is an exposure? And if there is a pressure, there will be a work-life sacrifice which will be happening, but you need to learn to integrate your work and life. Problem is we are looking for only one-dimensional path, which is भैया मुझे work चाहिए या तो life चाहिए, दोनों में से एक time पे चाहिए, दोनों नहीं हो सकता. Last, cons. You have to constantly adapt to the situations. How many of you understand that? When you are in the exponential curve, you have to keep changing. Change is your constant. Change is your constant. The problem is the acceptance of this change is a real issue with the mid-career. Do you all agree with that? Acceptance of the change is a real problem. There is an inherent resistance in all of us, which we don't want. And we keep telling ourselves, bloody hell, I don't want this. Yeah? Even though it is giving me 1 CR salary, I don't want this. Why? I need to change. That's why. Question is, how many want it? Do you really want it is the question. Because it is not about choosing the linear and the exponential growth just because I'm telling of pros and cons. It is all about making the choices, decisions. Yeah, it is all about making the right decisions. Your quality of your life is a reflection of the decisions you make. So the answer lies in the path, which gets you the accountability of your actions. When you're accountable for the actions, you will be working. Okay? The answer lies in the skills, advanced skill, what you have never learned formally. You learn through the experience. That is trial and error. I call it as an experiment. Answer lies in the strategic interventions. Answer lies in the auditing you. Okay? I leave that choice to you, whether to leave the linear growth or an exponential growth. You understand the pros, you understand the cons of both the sides. But I would rather fulfill my career and live a fulfilled life than a life of an average or a mediocre person.